Hello my friends, so welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about the transformational potential within every emotion. We're in the beautiful Cotswolds countryside and I'm really looking forward to sharing this video with you. So I've been practicing meditation for over 10 years now, and I've been through periods of time where I was meditating for 8 hours plus a day. On average, I've probably been meditating around 3 to 4 hours most days for the last 10 years. And I've come to discover that emotions aren't really what they seem. There's something more magical about emotions, which not many people know about, and which you only discover when you become really intimate with your own inner experience. So I'm going to share what I've discovered about each emotion and how each emotion can actually be transformed into a positive quality of consciousness. This is the tantric path of transformation through our emotions. The Buddhist path is very much about observing emotions. They talk about how emotions are like clouds passing through the sky, and you need to be the witness to those clouds. Now this is a beautiful teaching. It's a teaching which frees us to a certain extent from suffering in the mind, because when we recognize ourselves as the sky, we see that we're not our emotions, and that creates a certain amount of space inside and a certain amount of peace and freedom inside. But the tantric path is richer than that. The tantric path is more juicy than that. The tantric path is where real transformation takes place. So what you need to do if you're interested in actually transforming emotions, is you have to let them in. You don't just observe them, you let them come fully into your experience. Take for instance anger. When anger arises into your experience, the normal thing that happens is that energy of anger starts creating angry thoughts in the mind, and the power inherent within the anger gets displaced into negativity within the mind. Now the thinking of angry thoughts is actually a displacement of your own power. It's your own power dissolving into suffering in the mind. Potential within anger. When you let anger fully in, when something triggers you into an angry reaction and you feel all of this rage inside your mind, there's two components to that rage. One component is the thinking that's moving through your head. We've all had this experience of going for a shower at night after someone's triggered us in the day, and we're thinking angry thoughts in our head, and it's not a very pleasant experience, because those angry thoughts are actually constricting your consciousness, constricting your ability to experience joy, constricting your ability to even concentrate, and that actually closes down your energetic system. But what you can do when anger comes into your experience is, instead of going with the thinking, you allow it fully to expand within the container of your awareness. You allow it fully to expand within your body. You let the energy of anger get bigger. You don't want the anger to be small. You don't want to compress it. You don't want to repress it. You actually want it to come fully forward. And when that energy comes fully forward, without you going into your mind, without you displacing that energy into your mind, that energy of anger becomes your own power. It becomes your own ability to speak up for yourself. It becomes your own ability to truly, fearlessly follow your purpose in life. I often use the example of Martin Luther King. At a time, he was obviously so angry about all the atrocities that were happening with black people in the United States. And that anger was probably festering in him and creating lots of thoughts within his mind. But he transmuted that energy. He used that energy in a powerful way. And then he came out and gave one of the most inspirational speeches that's ever been spoken. And he spoke with such power, the power that had a similar energetic force to anger, but there was a purity to it. Anger can be transformed into a purity of power, and that is the beauty within the emotion of anger. And there's many ways in which we can transform this energy of anger into that power. There's no way I would be able to stand in front of a camera here or teach classes in our center or teach meditations if I hadn't gotten very friendly and very comfortable and actually fallen in love with the energy of anger. Because anger anchors within you a certain fearlessness whereby you know that no matter what happens in life, you cannot be harmed. Nothing can fuck with you. That is the beauty of anger. So the next emotion I'm going to talk about is fear. Within fear, there is also a transformational potential. Now, I experienced a lot of fear through my life. I experienced a hell of a lot of fear through my 20s. And a certain point came where the suffering that the fear was causing was so much that I had to find a way to transform it. Now, that fear was throwing me into fearful, worried, even terrified thoughts in my mind for years. And a moment came whereby instead of losing myself into those thoughts, instead of giving myself away to the fearful thoughts in the mind, I brought the whole extent of my attention down into the experience of the fear within the body. So now I'm going to talk about the energy of fear. Now, fear, in a similar way to anger, when we experience it, most people don't want to stay with the energy of it. And so because they don't want to stay with the energy of it, because they don't have the presence or they haven't been taught that it's okay to stay with the energy of fear, their attention is displaced elsewhere. And it's displaced into the thinking. It's displaced into worrying thoughts about the future. What is going to happen to me? Something bad is going to happen in the future. And that constricts and restricts our consciousness. But there is a certain level of power to every emotion. There's a spiritual power within every emotion. And the power that drives one into having a powerful, difficult, challenging, suffering mind can be transformed into a different kind of power. Now, the energy of fear, when you bring your attention into the raw energy of it, there's an absolute aliveness within it. If you stay with the energy of fear, it's like you start walking along this razor's edge of presence. To simply stay with that energy and not be moved into the thinking takes so much presence that this alert stillness starts arising within your consciousness, and you start feeling this light of presence, this light of divinity shining within your heart, shining within your spine. To meet fear is a beautiful thing. To meet fear is a wonderful thing. It's incredibly transformative, and it can completely transform our life. Now, we all experience fear in so many different ways. Next time you notice yourself in a state of fear, see, where is your attention? Is your attention being lost in thoughts about the future? Or are you able to stay with the direct experience of fear in the body? What is it really? What is it really when your mind isn't telling stories about it? What is it really when your attention isn't being displaced into the thinking? If you actually stay, if you actually go to the core of the energy of it in the body, the energy of fear is no different to joy. It's no different to bliss. It is your life force. There is divinity even within fear. So now I'm going to move on to talking about another juicy emotion which can be transformed from what seems negative into a positive, and that is the energy of shame. Now, we're all run by shame, whether we realize it or not. For most of us, shame is quite repressed. It's not a feeling that we're consciously aware of, but it does flare up into our conscious awareness sometimes. Maybe when we're embarrassed, maybe when someone humiliates us, maybe when we're around our parents and they're judging us, maybe when we're around authority figures and we're made to feel small. There is this energy of shame. Now, shame has a wonderful gift within it. I was running a meditation retreat about 10 years ago when I first started teaching. And really, I was probably a little bit too young and a little bit too inexperienced to be teaching this retreat. I'd accidentally advertised it in the wrong way. So people came to the retreat expecting something different to what it was. And I sat down in my usual style of talking and speaking, and people were not expecting that. They thought they were going to be doing yoga, gentle exercises, things like this. So people started getting really angry on me on this retreat. There were 10 people on the retreat, and at lunchtime, after I'd shared my heart and shared these meditations, I went to the toilet. And when I came back up from the toilet 5 minutes later, everybody except for 2 people had left this retreat. They'd left, they'd gone out onto the road, and they were all there talking about me. I went outside to see what was up and pretended I was going in my car to fetch something, and I could see them all looking at me, judging me, and they all just left my retreat. Anyway, I finished the retreat with the 2 people who were still there, and when I drove back home, I had an email of every single person on the retreat. And every single person who joined this retreat sent me an email asking for their money back, telling me how much of an awful retreat host I was, and I experienced a big chunk, a big wave of shame. Now my mind wanted to go in 2 directions. One direction was it wanted to go into aggrandizing myself. It wanted to go into a place of arrogance. They're wrong, I'm right. The shame wanted to become anger. The other direction the shame could have gone was beating myself up. I'm a terrible person, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be a teacher, something's wrong with me. But what I did in that moment is I didn't go up this way into the arrogance, and I didn't go down that way into the self-hate. I stayed right in the middle. I stayed with the feeling of shame, this deep hurt down in my lower belly, this chakra just above the groin. I stayed with my attention there, and I bowed my head, and I allowed the experience of shame to quieten my mind. And I came into this deep space of humility, this deep space of quietude. Something became quiet inside. I felt held by this gentle love. And there's something so wonderful about humility. When we are humiliated, there is the opportunity for us to be humble. I was humbled in that retreat, and it meant that my mind somehow softened. My heart gentled, became more gentle, and this sweetness started arising within my experience. And even though there was still some pain there, still shame there, I felt good. I felt like it was a positive experience, something that I needed to go through. The other amazing thing about shame, and I'll share another personal experience of this, my ex-girlfriend left me whilst I was on a 3-week silent retreat. And she left me for one of my best friends. And I found this out at the end of the retreat. And I experienced all sorts of emotions, all sorts of heartbreaks, anger, rage, but I also felt this deep shame. The thought of her in bed with my best friend when the day before she was my girlfriend. It was incredibly painful and induced so much shame. And one night, actually, this is a little bit of a funny story, but one of my friends who was friends with my ex-girlfriend decided he would tell me the messages that she had been sharing with him. And one of the messages that he'd got was that she was having the best sex of her life, and that she was having sex with my other friend up to 3 or 4 times a day. And he told me this as a way of, I don't know, some tough love, trying to help me get over the relationship. And it fucking hurt. I felt so much shame. I was living in a van at the time, and I walked back to my van and I said, I'm not going to suffer with this. I'm going to feel this fully. And I brought the whole extent of my attention down into my lower belly, because shame is felt in the lower belly, just above the groin. And I kept all of my attention on this point of energy where the shame was congealing in my lower belly. And I stayed with it. My thoughts wanting to go into images of them having sex with each other. My thoughts wanting to go into this feeling that I'm not good enough. But I didn't go there. I just stayed with the shame. I stayed with my attention in the lower belly. And then something magical happened. That lower chakra center, it burst open. My eyes were closed and I could feel or see this golden light pouring out from this chakra center. And I just entered into this deep place of bliss. It was incredibly blissful. The shame cracked open my sexuality, and I came into this kind of deeply intimate sexuality, but not a sexuality that was wanting to go towards people or be with other people. It was experiencing my own sexual energy purely flowing through my nervous system. So shame has the ability to open us to a deep sensuality, a deep sexuality. Shame has the ability to open us to the true meaning of Tantra. So what other emotions do we need to explore in this video? I'll do one more, and that is sadness. Sadness is a pain within the heart. It's the heart chakra, our chest, holding in tears, holding in pain. Now, so many of us are running away from our own heartbreak. Our hearts have been broken in so many ways through this life. It's not easy to live in this world. Even if you've had a fairly blessed life, there will have been many experiences when you were a child, when you were in this open-hearted space of beingness, this open-hearted, authentic expression, when you were playing in the playground and someone said something mean to you and you couldn't express that joy anymore, so you closed down your heart and you felt this deep heartbreak. For many of us, we've been abandoned at times, we've lost friends at times, we've lost partners, we've lost family members, we've had mean things said about us, we have this protection over our heart, we have this pain within our heart. And that pain within our heart can create a coldness within our experience. It can create even a subtle or not so subtle sense of meaninglessness. But when we have the courage to come back down into our body and to meet our heart directly, and perhaps the heart breaks open and tears start to flow, or perhaps we just stay with this energy of sadness in the heart, then what happens is it cracks us open to this sweetness and this compassion, this love for life, this ability to empathize with others. People who've never had their heart broken don't really know how to empathize with others. You feel compassion for the world when you have your own heart broken and cracked open. When the heart cracks open, love can flow through. The heart awakens through the pain. The heart doesn't just awaken through good, joyous experiences. The heart awakens when it's cracked open by pain. There's such a beauty in the fact that our hearts have been broken in the first place. And there's even more beauty when we meet the energy of that heartbreak and allow that contracted energy within the heart to start to open up. And then this love, the love within our souls, can shine through into the world. Within every emotion, there is a gift. There is transformation within it all. As hard as this life can be, as difficult as this life can be, if we truly have the willingness to meet ourselves fearlessly, to feel ourselves fearlessly, to hold ourselves tenderly, courageously, to respect our anger, to meet our shame with love, to meet our fear with presence, to meet our heartbreak with compassion, then we can go through a deep transformation of consciousness. Not transformation through avoiding our humanity, but transformation through meeting our humanity. There is something so beautiful about being human. There is something so beautiful about being on this planet with all of these people that we can share our hearts with. It's a wonderful, it's a tragic yet wonderful place to be. And it is a place where we can develop a deep sense of meaning. And meaning, at least for me, comes through the tragedy. Meaning comes through the heartbreak. Our ability to love one another even through the hard times. So, I hope you found this video useful and enjoyable. I really enjoyed sharing it with you from this amazing location in the Cotswolds. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you here. And please let me know in the comments if you have any reflections on your own emotions and the positive transformation that you felt through meeting and healing these emotions. Are these emotions just negative to you? Or have you also felt a transformation through some of the difficult times in your life? I would love to hear about it in the comments. So yeah, feel free to drop me a message. Much love and thank you.